in front of a toilet.
Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews.
Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. Now, welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. 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 This video is going to be a top 5, a bottom 5, and another 5 that were noteworthy in some way. Now, this is a video that I wanted to do last year, but I never really got the opportunity to. I mean, Decembers are pretty busy for me normally, but last year was particularly busy. Let's just see. I built that sex dungeon. I did drugs with Bob Saget. I masturbated like a lot. That really eats into my Saturn playing time. Christmas, I guess that was a day or two. Really just cut out, and obviously buying presents and stuff. But I didn't know when 2013 started. I mean, I know when the date started, you guys. Oh, you. But I didn't know when my reviews from last year ended and this year started, just because I did a new channel and it was all over the place, new files and ugh. So I figured I did about 50 odd videos, and that since there's going to be three categories, and then there's 5 videos from each category, that's 15 games, 50 games in total I reviewed this year. What's that? 30%? Look, I don't even know, my maths is dreadful. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the 5 worst games for this year reviewed by this guy. So, here they are. What I want to point out firstly is that this is in no particular order. The number that I put at the front of these is just the number we're at in the list. It's not that's the worst or that's the best one. So we're going to start with number 1, Tilt. This is probably the worst pinball game I've reviewed to date. And even though there are probably worse games than this, I wanted some diversity in my list. Shit is probably not the word for this, as it's not really that shit. It's just the worst pinball game I've played so far this year, and I've played most of them for the Sega Saturn. I'm still 2, maybe 3 games away from reviewing all of them, and the opinion that this looks like it's the worst is probably not going to change anytime soon. Sure, I've played some real fucking dog shit this year that I had to sift through. Some of these games weren't bad games, but were just really boring, like NASCAR or Virtual Casino. But even Tilt was worse than both those games. Number 2. It's a tie between Formula Karts and Breakthrough. I couldn't make my mind up on which one was worse. It was surprisingly hard to choose which game should be in this list. I have some games from the first season that I did that should definitely be on this list, but that's not this year, which is really the only condition which needs to be met. Controls really hinder Formula Karts. The handling of the karts gets me so angry, and I know this is merely my problem and not others. Graphically, it was reasonable, but even then that was really hard to tell whether it was really good graphically or not, because every fucking 2 or 3 meters I had to turn a corner. And I couldn't think of a more boring game than Breakthrough. Their dreadfulness is on par with each other for completely different reasons, and for the first time, the sound was broken in Breakthrough. Number 3, Criticom. Bland and boring with no real reason to play it ever again. Here's a riddle for you. What's a video game that starts with C and really should have ended with UNTFACE? That's right, this game. A complete waste of time, money and energy, and it should be avoided. Number 4, Rise 2 Resurrection. Everything I mentioned in Criticom, +1 it here. See, both games don't just suffer from looking like total dog shit because looks are merely skin deep. When you marry someone, at least make sure you marry someone you can tolerate forever and you're not just physically attracted to. If you think I'm trying to say you want a game you can fuck, then okay, maybe you're right, but only if we're speaking in metaphors. If you're making it literal, then you have problems I can't really fix. Shitty controls and a bad taste left in my mouth after you played it equals a bad time. Number 5, Congo. With these lists, I'm trying to spread the hate, the love, and the question mark. This game started out well with a nice presentation, but as soon as the game started, it descended into total shit. Even Jake from Becca could have seen the layers of shit this game had. It looks fucking dreadful, and while controls were okay, merely getting around and navigating was a complete and total chore due to poor graphics and a map that may as well have not existed. Which, in an FPS, okay, is not totally vital, but in this game, it felt like it needed to be. The following are 5 noteworthy games for one reason or another. Number 1, In the Hut. Retrospect is one of those funny things. I didn't realise how good this game was until I played others. It's ultimately Metal Slug but underwater, made by the people who made Metal Slug. And it was released before Metal Slug 2. The game suffers from slowdown, which people complained about, but it's not that bad. I should have made a bigger deal about this game than I did. That's my only regret. Number 2, 3 Dirty Dwarfs. The reason this gets a mention is that not only was it the first review I did with someone else, but we both had very different things to say about it. More to the point, this is the game that gets talked about a lot, and a lot of people liked it, but I was really disappointed by it. It had a few cool things going for it, but overall, it was a little mediocre, especially when you look at the ridiculous prices they're asking for on eBay. Number 3, Batman the Arcade Game. I should like this game more. I went back after I did the review and thought I was too harsh on it. Then after playing it a while and watching my review back, it's easy to see why I came to the conclusion I did. And with a little more playing on top of that, I went back to agreeing with what I said. The thing about this game is that while it's disappointing, it only takes a few small things to turn this game into something quite excellent. Number 4, Contra: Legacy of War. This is noteworthy because it's my most viewed review and I kinda regret the 2-minute spiel I did about Reply Girls. But my attitude towards them hasn't changed. I think this is another good game in the Saturn library that should get a lot more love than it does. Not a bad game at all, and with more replays I'm finding more and more to love about it every time. If I didn't recommend it in my original review, I do now. Number 5, Layer Section 2. People hate this game, or rather don't give it the time of day it should get. I get that perhaps it's not the best version of the game when you compare it to the PlayStation's version, but it still rates. Why this game is noteworthy is that it was a good game, and after the turkeys I've been reviewing this year, this only makes me love this game even more. I get that it pales in comparison to the original title, but it still rocks! The following are my favourite games that I've reviewed this year, again not in any particular order because I hate assigning arbitrary numbers to games. It results in pointless bickering, plus I have the added convenience of not enough people giving a flying fuck about my videos for it to really matter. Number 1, Dead or Alive. Awesome fighting game which simply continues to impress me graphically. If it made one giant leap forward graphically, it also plays really well with enough characters to mix it up and make me want to come back. Number 2, Virtua Fighter. Graphically, it could have been better, sure, but it plays exceptionally well, and while the sequels may have been better, this is where it all started. It must have been good enough in the first place to get the sequels, and the sound, oh man, the sound, so seminal. It is probably here on this list from the nostalgia, but it still had to be good enough to end up here, and it is. Number 3, Shinobi Legions. I'm as surprised with this entry as much as you are. Looking over the titles I did reviews for, I did a top 10 list to begin with, then boiled it down, and what I was left with was some really tough decisions. Some are here because they deserve to be here, and some are here because I want my list to be more than just a top 5 games, which were all fighting games. Not that it was, but at one point it did look like it. But this game really deserves some love. I really dig it. Do I dig it as much as, say, X-Men Children of the Atom? Tough call, really. But with 2 fighting games, I didn't want to make it a 3rd out of 5. And if they're as good as each other, I chose something different. And perhaps I should clarify that if I was given a choice, I would prefer Shinobi X over Legions as well. Same game, just better music. Number 4. Necronomicon. I mentioned earlier with Tilt that it was in that list for being the worst pinball game. Well, Necronomicon is only in this list for being the best pinball game. There is 1 or 2 games better than this generally, but I'm spreading the love across different genres of game. For instance, I probably preferred X-Men, Children of the Atom or Parodius. It was a real toss-up between this game and Steep Slope Sliders because while both games are excellent, they both suffer from the same problem: lack of substance. Just not enough. You're doing all the right things, I just wanted more of the same. Number 5. Panzer Dragoon. This is a no-brainer really. It's exciting and well deserving of the sequels it spawned. Maybe next year we'll see the reviews of the sequels. Not to mention one of the most unique concepts for a game, and the whole concept was pulled off amazingly. Not to mention the game is classed from start to finish. Presentation, sound, and graphically. All 5-star shit. I tried to stay away from retro gaming comps like Bubble Bobble, which could have easily turned up on this list as well. They had their chance from a smooth arcade to a console release well before now, and I see them more as cash cows anyhow. Also, a big thanks for fucking nothing to Reddit. You've been nothing but a pain in my arsehole where originality or any kind of original content goes to die and shitty cat pics end up on the front page. If Today I Learnt wasn't one of the default subreddits, you'd be almost devoid of anything interesting. And if the subreddit Mildly Interesting actually had something which lived up to its name, it'd be lonely. Don't get me wrong, if you watch my videos from Reddit, great. But every post is a fight to get above 0 upvotes without it disappearing into oblivion 10 minutes after it's posted and without nasty comments. Thank you for watching. See you next year.